So, NHL. Hockey news. Today, on shelves of stores, if they carry the hockey news, depending on where you are, the expansion issue. I had to get it, didn't I? I think I did. I should give a belated shout out. Craig Welsh. I'm very grateful for your pledge to Patreon, and to Mark as well, who states he's one of the original 6. So Patreon has picked up more subs, and I'm still going through. In terms of, I'm like, okay, I'll demonetize videos, and then there's the other trick too. That's like, okay, if I go below $100 as I demonetize videos, then I don't get paid that month. So I'm still trying to figure, because revenues are kind of like this with YouTube, and they've kind of been down lately. But that being out of the way, Vegas. So Vegas is coming in. They have an article in here rating the logos of the 10 most recent teams to join the NHL. They rate this as the best one. I disagree, but then again, expansion logos usually aren't very good. But they have this, the mock draft. So they do a mock draft. I never saw my big break coming. George McPhee seemed perfectly suited to the Vegas Golden Knights GM job. It was a shock when he stepped down. It was an even greater shock when the organization named me GM. So this is all of our dream, right? Yeah, yay, I get to pick the team. I wasn't about to complain, though. I had to work through an expansion draft mere months away. I brushed up on my rules and set out a foundation for a championship team. The pressure was on after my new boss, Bill Foley, predicted a Stanley Cup within 6 years. I laid out a few crucial goals for my draft. First, I wanted a ton of cap space to play with. I had to spend at least 60% of the cap, meaning $43.8 million or more, but I didn't want to vastly exceed the floor. My team clocks in at $53 million, giving me almost $20 million in cap space to take on. The idea is to amass as many draft picks as I can, and a great way to do so is to take on some bad contracts from other teams in exchange for picks. I also drafted a bunch of veterans with expiring contracts. I targeted guys who would be attractive pieces for contending teams at the 2018 deadline. UC Jokinen can boost a team's power play. Antoine Roussel, his agitating style tailors him for the playoffs. On defense, Alexei Emelin, Kevin Klein, Ian Cole, and Mark Borowiecki make fine, gritty bottom pair rental guys in March 2018. I'll hope to get mid-round picks for most of those guys. While competing for the draft lottery is a smart idea, this team can't utterly embarrass itself in year one. We want butts and seats to impress a non-traditional market. My advanced stats guru says we should be decent. See page 29. I'm not getting into... No, I'm not getting into that. Cheap but decent goaltending with upside will help. Eddie Lack will start the franchise's first game. He's a UFA in 2018, so we're only committed to him for one season. Calvin Pickard will seize the role and become our starter for the foreseeable future. Malcolm Subban, blocked by Tuukka Rask in Boston, will get every opportunity to become our long-term answer. That would be a mistake. The expansion draft protection rules for non-goalies, 7 forwards and 3 defensemen or 8 skaters, force several teams to let go of young players with upside. I was allowed to choose up to 10 players not yet under contract for 2017-18 if I could sign them in my 48-hour window. I thus worked out bridge deals for RFA, Brett Connolly, and Michael Furland. I targeted and signed one UFA, Radim Verbata. He'll help the power play make fine trade bait, and he's comfortable living in the desert. Okie dokie. Weird. All right. So let me go through the team that he's drafted. I don't have mine handy to compare mine to his. His first line. At least I think he's got this made up by line. I disagree with some of this though. but we'll go through that, okay? So first line, based on the way it's listed, Tyler Ennis, UC Jokinen, and Brett Connolly. I can see Tyler Ennis being a good fit. He has a high cap hit, so again, expansion team, you want cap money. That makes sense. Second line, Jacob Silverberg, Michael Raffel, and Shane Prince. I can't see Silverberg being available from the Ducks. I just can't. And I don't know if the Ducks will work out a deal so that Vegas doesn't pick him up. And that's mentioned a lot in here, how teams will make, expansion team will make a deal saying, look, we'll do this in exchange for, this. And it happens a lot. Okay. But that's in here, but we'll get into that later. Third line, Calle Jarnkrok, Antoine Roussel, and Michael Ferland. I don't know that Jarnkrok will be available, but probably. Fourth line, Vladislav Nemesnikov, William Karlsson, Chris Tierney. Tierney and Nemesnikov would be steals. Absolute steals for an expansion team. And then further down, he's got Radim Vrbata, Dmitry Yaskin, and Connor Brown out of the Leafs. Connor Brown looks deadly on the Leafs. And if he goes as an expansion pick, I really like what Vegas could do with that. And then at the bottom, Joel Armia, Anthony Mantha, and Nick Dowd. Armia is probably going to be available. I could see him being the pick. Mantha, I can't see Mantha being available. He's been awesome lately. Athanasiou and Mantha are the future in Detroit. I can't see them being, either of them being available. I can't see Mantha being available at all. Not based on his current play. He's been fantastic. I just can't see Detroit letting him go. At the time this was written, makes sense. And then the defenseman, I'll just read them off. Jonas Brodin. I'd be surprised if he's available. I have a funny feeling they'll work out a deal so that Vegas takes Scandella. They might have to sacrifice a first-round pick to keep Brodin. But he's been fantastic this year. Emelin from Montreal. Kevin Klein from the Rangers. Ian Cole from Pittsburgh. Brandon Davidson from Edmonton. So there you go. See, I've said all year, Davidson's a guy who's an automatic. John Merrill from New Jersey. Mark Borowiczki from Ottawa. Trevor Van Riemsdyk from Chicago. And then Andre Padan from Vancouver. I want to know why he'd pick Padan from Vancouver. There's going to be better players available from Vancouver than Padan. And that would mean Vancouver loses essentially nothing in expansion this year. And then in net, Eddie Lack is the starter. Calvin Pickard is the backup, and Malcolm Subban is the number 3 guy. Subban has fallen behind Zane McIntyre in Boston. Subban is not a guy that I think Vegas is going to pick up. They might, but if they pick him up, it'll be through a trade, because I think he's going to be available this summer. I do. Now, as far as the owner saying 6 years to Stanley, I can't see it. I can't. But I will say this. That expansion team that I just read off, that is a better expansion team than what Atlanta had, than what Nashville had. It's on par, I think, with what Columbus had in year one. It's ahead of what Minnesota had year one. And San Jose's year one was weird because they had the Minnesota dispersal draft. It's strange. Very, very strange. But yeah, so that's the expansion team that Vegas could very well get. I don't really take issue with it. I know, and I mean, I kind of had people telling me off for it. But look, teams from now until the expansion draft are going to be, trying to figure out what they can give Vegas so they can keep their young players. It's not unusual for an expansion team to make trades with established teams in an agreement that they won't draft certain players. The Sharks, and it's written about in there, in order to keep Evgeny Nabokov, made deals with Minnesota and Columbus, making sure that they didn't draft him. So they said, look, we'll give you these pieces to help you guys out down the road. Don't draft Nabokov. Don't take him in the expansion draft. And Columbus and Minnesota said, fine. That will happen. And I'm telling you right now, I can't see Brodin being out of Minnesota. And I can't see Mantha being out of Detroit. I can't. Detroit is going into a rebuild for the first time in, 30 years? There's no way that Anthony Mantha is going to be available. He is finally playing like that draft pick that they picked up. He is finally living up to his potential. I just can't see him not being protected. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree or disagree. And if you're a Vegas fan, and I understand I picked up a couple when the Vegas team was announced, and I had a couple of videos about Vegas, let me know how things are. I've heard there's no buzz at all in Vegas, and I've heard there is buzz in Vegas. I'm not in Vegas, so I don't know one way or the other. And if you're just browsing through, go ahead and hit like and subscribe because it's a popular thing to do these days. I'm watching a fantastic football game between Green Bay and Dallas. I have no idea who's going to win. Either a team I like very much or Dallas. So, miss. Oh, no, that's a good one. So, it's 21-13, almost halftime. So they're only a touchdown and a 2-point conversion behind, and I wouldn't bet against the Cowboys because they've got home field advantage, and that means something in football. It means more in football than it does in any other sport to have home field or home ice in hockey. Having that home crowd makes a huge difference in football. Anyways, that's it for me for now. I will be back again later, and we will talk some more hockey. Unless something really fantastic happens in this football game in the second half. But outside of that, we will be talking some more hockey topics. There's a lot of expansion stuff to talk about in this magazine. I highly recommend it. It's $4.99 in Canada, so the price has gone up by $1. But you're honestly getting something in this one that's pretty awesome. Because they also get into the draft rankings. So I've had some comments lately about do the draft rankings. I'll review what's in there. And I've not been paying a lot of attention to the draft because I keep hearing about how it's not a very good one. And when people are already saying it's not a very good one and you're months out, it's kind of hard to get excited about it because I remember a draft where they said it wasn't a very good one and Patrick Stefan was at the top of it. I remember one that had Pavel Brendel going early. I remember David Legwand being a number 2 pick. Like, I remember drafts that were billed in advance as this isn't going to be a very good draft, and they weren't. I can't remember one where it was billed as kind of a draft, and it was fantastic. So, we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.